Hey gang, welcome to Computer Graphics. Today's a special day. We're going to be doing the first round of midterm project evaluations or presentations or status reports, however you want to refer to them. So this is the chance for all of the teams to show off. We're at midterm now, to show off all of the hard work they've been doing over the first half of the quarter. The teams that'll be presenting today are Graphical Insanity, Haunting Guild, and Mike and Ids. So without further ado, why don't we have Graphical Insanity take it away?
Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. All right, can you all see that roll?
Yes, sir. We can see it.
All right. I'm gonna pass it off to Evan, and he'll start us off.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are Team Graphical Insanity. It's myself, Evan Zumwalt, Alex Fosho, and David Amort. Our game is an underwater exploration experience with a focus on finding the black box of a downed plane in the Bermuda Triangle. And we're focusing heavily on the environment and the exploration aspects over gameplay mechanics. So we begin development with just basic underwater mechanics exploration, trying to figure out how exactly water works in Unreal. And this was our very first sprint, so this is what we had in the beginning. And as you can see, it's a little rough around the edges, but we certainly learned some stuff. In the next sprint, we were learning a bunch of different software. David was using Blender to make the drone character model, and I was learning about Unreal environment building, and Alex was doing fish AI stuff, trying to get that working. And this is more recent. David explored height mapping. And what we did is we ported the height map for the Bermuda Triangle into the game as our play area. So that's the actual height map of the Bermuda Triangle, which is pretty cool. And then during the latest sprint, we got the underwater effect, operating the drone, and everything a bit under control. And David has a demo for us. Oh, David, you can go ahead and do the demo.
Alrighty. So in the demo, we will be controlling the drone, and you'll be navigating underwater. As you can see, you can't see everything underwater. It's all sectioned off by distance. We use the water plugin that Epic has recently added, and it did the effects for making it blurry underwater for us, which was very nice. See, we can just fly around here. There is much to be done. I believe we plan to litter the floor with a bunch of crashed ships and planes. But for now, we have one crash site. I'm flying over to it right now. And we will populate the area with fish, maybe heat vents for like heat vents with bubbles coming out of it, just to add more flair. And here we are. This is the first ship that has crashed. One thing we do need to implement is a brake, because, yeah. All right. Alrighty. Got the ship here. This is a black box. This is what will be interacted with. And after you interact with it, you can either explore more or resurface, which will be the ending cycle for the game. I believe that is it. All right. Is there anything else I missed? Evan, Alex?
You pretty
I
much
think you
covered it.
covered just about everything.
Obviously, if you have questions about how the water works and stuff, we can go over that too.
Maybe even the mini map in the top left. I'm kind of proud of that one.
All right, I'll get back to the presentation.
Ready?
All right, and here we can hand it off to Alex to take care of the future plans and such.
All right, so for this next sprint, we're just going to plan on trying to expand on the landscape a bit. So we're going to hand that off to Evan. He's going to basically try to give it a little bit more life to give a little bit more consistency and stuff with the actual landscape itself to make it more unique and stuff. David is going to flesh out the drone, possibly add some more animations and some more effects. And myself, Alex, I'm going to be trying to add some creatures to the water. I tried that this sprint, and I ended up I worked on the water and underwater stuff, as well as trying to get the AI stuff done, but I didn't get the AI stuff done before this midterm. So, all right, next slide. So for future sprints after this next week, we're obviously going to try to incorporate a crash plane site with a possible objective. With a black box that could be recovered, we're going to have a proper starting point. What we're thinking about is a possible island that's on the surface, and we're going to just have a drone that lowers down into the water, and then we will possibly have some kind of entity, like some kind of boss fight, or not really a fight, but more of a survival thing at the end. It'd be kind of cool. Then obviously quality of life improvements and stuff as we get further down the line and trying to get better gameplay mechanics and obviously a bug-free-ish game as much as we can before the end of this quarter. All right, are there any questions? Does not.
I actually am kind of curious. How did you end up doing the mini map there? Because that's really impressive.
We use the flying template for this one, and when you go to edit the flying pawn, it brings you to this area where you can change the mesh, which is we changed to the drone, and you can implement a 2D point capture. You lift it above the drone and you face it down, and you will need to go to let's see, you will need to make a render target, which should be an option under the 2D capture. And then you need to make a material. You need to make a canvas. I'm sorry, this is all over the place.
You're trying to go a little too detailed there.
Maybe.
I kind of get what you mean. Thanks.
I don't know how else to explain it. I mean,
It's basically he has some kind of camera that's just a little overview of the whole map, and it keeps track of where the drone is, and it just displays it on the top left. It's kind of cool though. That's just a layman terms. It's pretty simplified, but yeah.
it was a much better explanation. I'm sorry for that. Did you understand? Fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have one. I know you were saying what you're plan for next sprint is, but and I know that you said overall that you want to make sure you have a as bug free as you can end product, but what would you like the end product to look like? Just fully populated with fishes and other objects like plane crashings and stuff like that.
I believe the end goal is the fish will be nice detail while you're exploring. And the littering of like just plane crashes and ship crashes all over the floor would be just more for people to explore. But we can also set it up to be when you start the mission, you'll have a random plane that you have to go look for. So you have to fly to each crash site and try to match the model of the plane with the one you're looking for. And then you can search around there to find the black box. That might be something that we end up doing, hopefully. It will allow for more playability if that's the case.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else?
You said you want to make a bug-free game. Have you actually run into any bugs so far that have been like really challenging to work around, or have you fixed any that you've run into, I should say?
I can go over that. So yeah, so one of the bugs has definitely been collision issues, and it's currently not working at the moment. Some reason our little drone there does not like to be a solid. So it's kind of causing us a little bit of issues because it keeps clipping through stuff. So that's definitely one of the things we're trying to fix for like future stuff. I guess more understanding how collisions work in Unreal, but some reason it's just not working very well with that little drone. Outside of that, we also got water effect kind of glitches going on, but that's only because of lighting issues and just how hard it is to properly light an underwater scene. And yeah, just a couple of things like that currently. And just this, yeah, pretty much. There's like the main two things right now that we need to fix. I think that'll be, yeah, I think that's like basically our 20 minutes, maybe, or 15 minutes up.
The presentations are scheduled for 20 minutes, including question and answers. But if you guys are done, just let me know and we'll move on to the next presentation.
All right. Stephanie suggested that there's a collision setting whenever you edit in assets. Yes. So we've looked at like a lot of that. Like me and David has been spending a lot of time trying to figure it out. We've added a collision settings to obviously the terrain, to the ship itself, to like the asset, and also the blueprint, and just we tried to like combining a lot of stuff. I'm not really sure if some kind of inheritance is an issue, but yeah. But thanks for the suggestion, Stephanie. We'll definitely look more into it.
I don't know if you'll notice, but I avoided colliding with anything in that demo as a tribute.
Thank you everyone for your time.
Okay, Dave, if you could unshare your screen. Okay, cool. All right, so next up we have the Haunting Guild. Take it away, Haunting Guild. Blake, if you're speaking, we don't hear you.
There we go. Is that better?
There you got it.
All right. Thank you. All right. We are the Haunting Guild. This is our midterm update. So just to review again, our game concept is an open world exploration area with a day-night cycle, various sort of plant life biomes, and regional weather effects. So the core concept here is that we have friendly NPCs, normal animals that roam about during the daytime, which are replaced during the night cycle with hostile supernatural NPCs. And the core sort of game route here is during the day, players will search for items to help with surviving the nighttime stage. So right now, our current work distribution is I am working on weather effects, adjusting the day-night cycle, having a couple issues with actually creating total darkness, character model integration, and implementing the source control. Matthew's been working on environment building and topography, and Jerome is working on landscaping and NPCs. So last time I talked about Perforce, and I was sort of hesitant to do this as I read into it because it seemed like the only way to get this to work for what we wanted was to set it up on a cloud server. But after trying to use GitHub and passing around Google Drive long enough, I became so fed up with it that I went ahead and just paid for a cloud server on DigitalOcean and got it set up. Though there is a nice tutorial if anyone's interested that has a code for a $100 off a DigitalOcean subscription, so that'll cover any cost for the project. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Has no issues with file size. It handles the binaries fairly well. And it's a great solution compared to the sort of half-working ones that were available before. So I've also been working a little more on the weather effects. I've started working on a procedurally generated rainstorm that will come through various areas. And you'll not only get the raining effect, but you'll get a wet earth effect underneath your character. And hopefully on the character model itself, that'll fade away as the storm passes by. We did finally get rid of the Unreal mannequin. I did find an asset that I was happy with that had a matching skeleton. So since that skeleton for the asset matched bone to bone with the Unreal mannequin, I was able to delete the existing skeleton and wrap the mannequin in this new mesh, and it carried over all of the animations with no issue whatsoever. Ghost, I've started implementing some of the supernatural character models. These are assets that I was able to find online. I've kind of paused any kind of sculpted assets to refocus on getting the game in a working state. And if we end up with more time later on, I may revisit sculpting a little more, but that is a little bit of a time sink if you don't have enough focus on your core areas. We did get the safe house added and constructed in the middle of the map. And I'll pass this over to Matthew to talk.
Okay, so we've done a little bit of topography difference and stuff. Not too much from the last time because we've been mainly focusing on getting the whole thing remodeled and stuff, adding trees, grass, some flowers, bushes, and all that. And stuff. I was trying to, I spent quite a while trying to find a good looking tree that when you walked away from it, and it kind of like rendered out just like the details and stuff, it wouldn't look horrendous and stuff. Because I found a few that looked really boxy whenever you walked away from it. So I ended up finding these and stuff. And then, yeah, so as you can see, we have grass and trees and stuff. I also sprinkled in quite a lot of flowers because it just would look one color, basically, green. Trying to get the color scheme to not be just green and stuff. And I guess we can get to Jerome for the wildlife modeling.
Okay, so I've been working on adding animal assets to the game. Um, I got my assets from the Unreal Marketplace. Um, if anybody wants to use them, they're free of charge. They're if you search animal variety pack and you turn on the filter for permanently free materials, then you should be able to see them then. But because there are some options that are that do cost money, and there are some that are just temporarily free. So that's just something to look at. And I was able to import a few assets into the game. There will be more assets used. I don't know why the texture didn't stick to these animals. Most likely just the issue on my laptop. But before I poured a bunch of animal assets into the game, I wanted to get some of the AIs working properly so that the animals move in a more realistic manner. I noticed some of the animals, like the deers, had a death animation, and there's also a fox animal in the animal variety pack, and I was thinking about making some type of hunting scenario, maybe where, like in nature, foxes just hunt prey or whatever. Um, you'll see in the demo that the animals just kind of move on a loop. Um, I'm currently looking into how to make them move, in a realistic manner or whatnot. So, yeah, that'll be something I'll be working on in the future. Also, I'll be working on showing certain animals and entities during the appropriate time of day or season or whatever. Because remember, the whole point of the game is to show, the friendly NPCs during the day and supernatural or antagonists and NPCs during the nighttime. As well as I have to find, or, well, like I said, I doubt we have time to model the supernatural, but if the time does come to model those assets, it's something we'll try. But other than that, we'll look online and see if we can find some assets to work with. You could go to the next slide now.
All right. This is just a brief sort of layout of the schedule we'd like to keep to for finishing up the game. We need to address sort of NPC spawning, how we want these things to enter the world and leave the world, as both the friendly and antagonistic enemies are going to have to appear and disappear based on the time of day related event. We need to start working on the AI behavior and the combat system, and that'll sort of tie into implementing items and where we want to spawn those to encourage map exploration. Throughout this, we'll be working on polishing up the map and the various weather effects, and maybe adding a little more color and variety to the different areas. And the last thing I'd like to tie in would be adding some sound effects and just general event-based music integration. Now, let's see. I do have a brief demo to show. Here we are. So this is our very generic man that we've added. Our safe room here. I was having a little trouble last night clipping through the stairs, but we'll get that figured out. That's just a very basic room for now. This will be expanded, and I'd like to add a second level to this. Again, Matthew's added quite a lot of variety to the plant surfaces since last time. One thing you'll kind of see is that even when the sun is occluded underneath the map, there's a bit of a color to the sky and everything that is not what I expected. But I'm working through that, and I have some ideas on how to totally occlude the sun. Yeah, I don't know why they all died at some point. But other than that, I think the sort of wilderness is shaping up nicely. It's very well filled out. And I think the last thing I want to show off here are just a couple of these ghost models. They're a little low poly, but I think for this purpose, they'll be satisfactory. They do have some fun little, classic horror game particle effects that I kind of enjoyed. There we go. Nice and green. Other than that, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to go ahead and take those while this is wrapping up.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
And watching the demo, it looked smooth, but have you guys thought about the transition from night to day? I mean, it's supposed to be friendly during the day and it's supposed to be threatening at night. Well, you can't just okay, 6 p.m. click, we go from happy, friendly to. So have you guys thought about how you're going to do that?
Yeah, my idea is that I would like to sort of envelop this whole thing with total darkness and have just like a single point lighting on the character, be that a lantern or a torch, and otherwise complete black, no stars, no moon. The only thing you can see would be maybe the particle effects of the enemy characters as they float through the forest.
No, I got you, but what I was talking about was as you transition from daytime to nighttime, right? I assume you don't have any ghosts during the day, but you have those lovely deer. Have you thought about the time period, the transition time period between, it's late afternoon and now it's night, and how you're going to handle that?
Yeah, I have a couple ideas about where to actually kind of draw that line so that it's not, like you said, just flipping a switch. But I've really been trying to work through the darkness aspect first, so I haven't put a lot of time into that yet. But that will definitely be on my plate soon.
It could be something as simple as, there's, you have fewer and fewer animals, the friendly animals, they begin to despawn or whatever you want to call it as dusk approaches, and, you have one or two, more aggressive, and then so the balance changes over the twilight. That's all I was thinking about. There seem to be some very interesting questions in chat. You might want to take a look at.
Let me see. I've been missing those. Yeah. Go ahead.
Basically, Eric is asking, where did you get the grass from? Was it the Unreal Marketplace or somewhere?
Okay, so all right, let's start at the top. As for the grass, I believe, if I've got the thing right, I don't know, I'm thinking it's this one. I downloaded a lot of them, and I believe it's this one that I got it from, the Open World Demo Collection on the Unreal Engine store. However, you do have to watch out using the trees because all these graphics are basically 4K, so they can lag your machine quite a lot. So I suggest just using the grass for that. The trees, I use for the trees, I'd used let's see here. It was a free asset thing. It was on a Reddit post. And as for the foliage, so what I had done is I had used the foliage painter. So I had a bunch of models that I added to it. And then you have to basically set, okay, how dense do you want it? How close and stuff do you want everything to be to each other? Also, you need to set like the height and stuff on where it starts. You also need to make sure that it does not align to normal and stuff, because otherwise your trees, if you have a hill that's like this, if you were to align it to normal, the trees would be going like that instead of like that. So you need to make it, so you make it so it's not aligned to normal, so it goes straight up. And then you kind of have to paint it on and stuff. I would also suggest, if you're going to add a lot of graphics to it, to set your graphic settings to low, because currently my Unreal is running really slow. I'm getting about like 20 frames per second trying to move around the map, and it's going really slow. Yeah, cinematic. Yeah, that my laptop would crash and stuff. But yeah, I think the biggest problem that I was having was trying to find the right density for the forest though, and stuff. Because otherwise, I wanted so you can like look far but still make it look like a forest. Let's see here. I can always, I'll try to paste this link. It's to the Unreal Engine marketplace. It's the open world demo. It should be free for anyone to use. It's got a bunch of different asset packs of trees and stuff. And then I think that is it, at least from my end. If you guys need to know how to use the foliage painter, you can always ask or email me. And I'll be glad to help.
I think that's everything we have. I will add real quick, Dr. O'Neill. I don't know if you're familiar with the original Ocarina of Time, but the night-day transition in Hyrule Field was a bit of an inspiration for how I wanted the day-night cycle to work in this.
Okay, cool. Cool, thank you. Okay, anything else? Any other questions for this group? All righty, well then we'll move on to the myconids. Take it away, myconids, or the mushroom people.
Okay. Let me share the screen. Can you guys see the all right?
Looks good, Stephanie, and we can hear you too.
Okay, good. Let me just fix this here real quick. Fine. Alan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Hello, we are the Myconids. So we'll be starting off the presentation for the mushroom one. So the previous sprint recap, we were focusing on adding behavior to the rabbits, having the predator concept finalization, implementing some gameplay like combat, collecting items, crafting, and etc. And continuing developing of the models. And I will say one thing that I also plan on doing for the AI aspect is as well as updating it, but making it to where it functions for all of the creatures that we add. So instead of just spawning in multiple creatures, I can make the AI all focus on the same models. And have some other stuff like maybe even sound triggers. If you make a sound, the creature will run away. And yes.
Sorry, I was muted there for a second. I was going to say I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with our modeling work. So some of the modeling we've done, last sprint, we discussed and mentioned how we were developing a rabbit model. It's now complete. Additionally, we created some simple assets like rocks, dirt mounds for the rabbit, as well as a player character that Jonah will talk about in a second after I go through these assets. So here are some images in Blender of the models I created. Here is a fungal tree. Basically, last sprint we had one already, but we wanted to change the look of it, so this is how it currently is as of right now. However, there are some issues with it in Unreal. I believe the polygons are flipped, so I'm going to have to fix that. Additionally, these are just some simple rocks that we created to add into our game. I see there's a chat comment. I'll look at it in a bit, I'm sorry. So here's our rabbit model. As you can see, it is scaled properly. So in relation to a normal person, the rabbit scale is basically as it should be. It is rigged for animating, but it still needs some animation. In fact, we were discussing, or my group and I were discussing how we could probably research how to take bones and the animations for them and apply them to these models instead of having to hand animate them. So that'll be a work in progress. Additionally, here's another photo of it in Unreal. Here's that dirt mound that we talked about. It's the same color as the flooring here. But that's it. I'll go ahead and kick it off to Jonah so you can discuss his own modeling.
Okay, so what I've been mostly working on this sprint was getting our player character up and running, and a vast majority of that was modeling. And I sort of, what we were aiming for was a sort of retro futurist sci-fi kind of look for the player character, because the idea is that you are this astronaut crashed onto a strange planet. And kind of went for that with the large globe helmet, saving us from having to do any sort of facial recognition. And then we got the back going on like a sort of O2 tank type thing. And one of the issues that I have been having with this is setting up the rigging, which is why what we're going to try and do instead of doing our own rigging is take a skeleton, like for example, from the base mannequin and just trying to get that going on our model. And then on top of that, I'm also going to talk to you a bit about our future plans. So for the next half of the quarter, our goal by the end is to have the 3 biomes we talked about done, starting with the savanna. And then once we've got the savanna done, we'll go into the watering hole and the underground. And then once the player model is done, I'll be focusing more myself as well as with some help on Alan from Alan on getting the game features going, like just making it more playable. And that's the sort of idea, the combat, health bars, whenever you kill something, having it drop something that you can use to make your own weapons, that sort of thing. And then going on specifically for the next sprint, we're going to be focusing in on getting those assets ready for the Savannah, which should just take only 2 more. We're going to have to finish the wolf and the predator, and that's all our fauna for that. And then rigging and implementing the new player model, as well as showing some simple gameplay. And to end off our presentation, we have a little bit of a demo on what Vivian's been working on that we can go ahead and go over to.
Let's see. All right. So we've got this demo up here. Let me go ahead and start it. One thing I've been kind of just looking at is the full astronomical scale of this Unreal Engine. So being able to fully model out planets, it's neat, even if it doesn't really apply fully to the game, but with it, went ahead and put in, so you just jump right into that gameplay like that. And then from here, we have redone our world. It is newly redesigned and retextured. We have these trees spread out. We do need to fill out this space a little more. And we have that rabbit, which does run away. And you can see it is not properly rigged for animation, so it is just kind of floating all around. But with that, that is where we are at with that. Just a matter of getting that animation going. We do still have the default Unreal guy at the moment, but we making good headway on that replacement player character. And then over here, we do also have some of these fields of that modeled out grass that we were looking at. So all in all, we've got this all going pretty well on this. And then this section that we're looking at, the forest, that is going to be one small section of this overall map. If we look at it, some more depth will be added into this flat area. It's not going to stay as flat as it is, but this is going to be like our foresty savanna area. And then we have a lot of expansion over here to go ahead and get filled out. All right, and that is what I have. Does anyone have any questions on this?
Got one in the chat for you, Vivian.
Oh, I didn't see chat. The whole planet zoom in thing is, okay, the whole planet zoom in is just originally off of the, started from the Unreal sky atmosphere, and then generated out a static mesh. Just it is like pass throughable, and then made a pretty bad texture of a planet. Just we've got some of the purple that we use, and then clouds over it, but all of that is just a static mesh. As for the actual zoom in thing, that is using something similar to at the beginning where we had that zoom in and out feature of the character where it looked at the, I'm just going to get back in so I can show that. Where we would see it switching that camera. It's just a matter of having a camera out about 7 or 8 million units that is just fixed at time of load in, and then it pulls up a widget, and then on exit that widget starts a timeline which makes that camera snap into place. And then for the terrain tiling, went ahead and completely remade the planet in Gaia instead of WorldMaker, and then did with that set up different levels of masking through various factors as the angle, the amount of soil that would be expected, and then the actual like water maps, which is why forgot it was on so high, which is why we get that distinctive look from where water would be draining down these mountains. And then you can also see it's right on that low-res static mesh in comparison. When I'm not streaming it, it does load in fast enough that you can't see past it. But so with that was generated out as separate levels of masks that were then set up as a master material and set up through Unreal Blending. So that's about it on the actual mapping textures. They're actually, even though they look pretty good, it is in Unreal nothing but just flat colors. No actual texture on the color itself. It comes down to the blending and then using a couple of normal maps that were found that matched what we were going for.
Any questions about anything else?
If there's no other questions, thank you all for listening.
Thanks for the presentation. Okay, those were good. It's good to see the level of progress the teams are making. There's been quite 2 weeks since our last presentation, but there's been quite a bit of activity on all of the teams over that 2 weeks, so I'm very pleased to see that. So do we have any questions, switching gears a little bit here, are there any questions about the programming assignment that's due a week from tomorrow? I've already gotten some questions from email from a number of you, so I know that some of you have been working on it for the past week, really, and some people are making really good progress on it. My best advice that I've given a number of people when you get stuck is try to simplify things down to a single object, maybe even a single polygon if you're really stuck, and put in lots and lots of diagnostic prints, and that way you can track the math to see what's going on. I'd also very much break it up into parts. I would first do backface culling. That's much more straightforward than the rest of it. And then I would move on to polygon fill. And then once I got polygon fill, I would then go to Z buffering, because as you can see from the notes, that's just a little bit of a, well, I mean, it's conceptually there's a lot that's going on there, but code-wise, it's really not a whole lot that you have to add once you have the fill working properly. But if you don't have fill working properly and you try to do that and Z buffer at the same time, then that's just another variable that you're trying to disentangle as you debug your program. So any questions about the programming assignment or anything else we have coming up? It's very important that everyone file your evaluations for today's presentations. Let me go and see what those look like right now. Let's see. Let me see. I'm pulling it up right now. 16 of you have filed your responses so far. which means that the other 5 of you have not yet filed. You need to get them. You need to get them filed within the next. Well, you have technically until 12:30 before it locks, but you need to go ahead and get those done, please, ASAP, because it's part of your grade. It's part of your responsibility to file those. So with that, the only other thing is, of course, the last 3 presentations will be given on Friday. So that's Mission Control, Nature's End, and the We and Ed 3090. Okay, well, I appreciate you guys' time. I will stick around for a few minutes if there are any other questions that you'd like to have post-class. But if not, I'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.